Hey everybody, Link Tide Rescue Spirit here, and, well, today I felt like I'll give a impression, well, not impressions, a thought video regarding a particular part of the first wave of DLC for Breath of the Wild, specifically the Master Trials. So, without further ado, why don't we get started? Interesting thing that you'll note is I created an overlay for this because, as you guys know, I don't necessarily have a capture card, and, well, from how I've been rendering the videos, there's a bunch of empty space, so I thought why not fill the empty space along with cover up cover up the border on the TV with some type of overlay themed to the game that is playing. So, yeah, it took me a few tries to get it right, but I managed to get it to work pretty decently, so, yeah. Anyways, without further ado, let's get on to the Master Trials. As you guys know, the Master Trials, the way you enter them is what I'm showing here, which is placing the Master Sword back in the pedestal to enter the trials. Pretty much when you start the game after you get the DLC, you will get a prompt, kind of like when you enter a shrine, telling you about the trial, which will unlock the side quest. For this, as you see, you spawn with no armor or inventory. You don't have anything. Just to clarify, this is not my first time being in this, and as I show off here, you cannot save doing this. And basically, how things work here is you go through floor after floor, defeating the enemies. You move on to the next floor when you defeat all the enemies. Obviously, the first floor is nothing too serious. If you are quick, you can steal most, if not all, the weapons. And yeah, pretty much the floors will ramp up with difficulty each time you go through them. So, yeah. Let's speed up this a bit. Slightly about halfway through the floor, well, through this, you will come across a mid-boss. For this, the beginning trials, you will face off against the Stone Talus. Pretty basic. There are metal crates and blast barrels that could help you with this. Sorry about that. I didn't know about them the first time getting this far, which is actually this footage. So, yeah, but I do end up being able to beat him anyways, which brings me to the next thing, which is here. Basically, after you beat the main boss, you come across a safe floor of sorts. This shows that you are at the midpoint. They give you some free weapons, gear, and there's a bunch of items nearby, including a fairy. And the only cooking pot you're gonna find for this, there might be more floors like this in later trials, but I have yet to actually beat the beginner's trial. Kinda sad to say, but that is true. I still have yet to beat that. As you see, there's a cooking pot. You have a bunch of stuff to help you make you, and as you see there, I gotta figure out not make you, make food. So yeah, there's that. And there's some fish as well, particularly what those and the iron shrooms are meant to do is to make defense dishes. So yeah, make good use of that. And on to the next important thing about the way that the Master Trials work. An important thing to keep in mind if you're going to take on the Master Trials is if you die like that, kinda unfair if I have any say in it, considering I didn't even get much time to react after the fairy. Anyways, when you die in the Master Trials, doesn't matter how far you are, doesn't even matter if you got to the midway point in the particular trial. It spawns you back in Korok Forest, and you have to start the entire trial again. Now, these are divided into individual trials. I do not know if the other ones are longer than it. I just know that there's a total of, I believe, 47 floors for the trials. Each trial you complete, your Master Sword will get a bit stronger each time. And before any of you suggest or think that you can do some sort of exploit with amiibo functionality to get some food items and weapons, I actually took a liberty of testing this the next day. I couldn't do it the same day because I already used my amiibos per that day, but as we see here, this is the next day. I'm going back into the Master's Trials. Still the first trial, I might add, because I kinda gave up at one point because I kept dying. So I decided to take a break from it. Now you see here I have the amiibo wounds selected, and I'm trying to use it, and it's giving me the message, you can't use that here, or now. You can't use that now. So yeah, Nintendo thought of using amiibos here. I believe it also works in Eventide Island for that, but unlike Eventide Island, there's no way to sneak the new things, like weapons onto it. Now here, I'm at the second to last floor, which is against a Hinox. Well, I tried to sneak up on it, but I accidentally started running when I meant to put my bow away, which initiated the fight when I didn't want to. And for some reason, aiming the bow, I don't know why, but it was harder to do. Not to mention that my bow broke because it was badly damaged. But yeah, that didn't necessarily work. And really what I should have done was aim the shock arrows at the armor on his legs and do that to fight him. Like, use the shock arrows. Like, I believe how you're supposed to fight this guy is shoot at his legs with the shock arrow and then use the regular arrow. While he's stunned, use a regular arrow to stun him by shooting his eye. I kinda didn't think about that, even though I've seen the beginner trial done. And also, I die here, meaning that I don't get the Master Sword upgrade, and, well, I'll leave you to my reaction to that.
Come on. Seriously? Now I have to do all that again?
Needless to say, I was not very pleased with this. Now, as for my thoughts of this, the concept seems like it's a bit too tough for its own good. Kind of a bit unfair in some instances as well, in the way that I look at it at least. You can see it as perfectly fair, and I can understand why some of you might think that, but to put it into perspective, the way that I see it, expecting you to redo the entire thing, which while it's only 12 floors of, like, 13 floors in total for the beginner trial, I still died multiple times on these, despite it being beginner, and I already got to the point where I've beaten the game with the complete story, so I'm not new to the game. I know how the mechanics work and everything. And when you die, you have to start all the way from the beginning. Maybe early on, before the halfway point, I can see that. But when you reach that halfway floor, the one that had the cooking pots and stuff, I think that if you die there, you should, I don't know, be sent back to that floor with all the equipment you had at that point. So, I don't know, it doesn't seem like the best way of going about it, and like I said, I still haven't beaten the first beginner trial for the Master Sword trial, so I don't know how long the other trials are, or how many there are to fit the around 47 floors of enemies and stuff that there are. Of course, these 47 floors would have to include the, like, halfway floors and the final floor where you get the upgrade. So there's that to keep in mind with the equation as well. But anyways, I like the concept of the trials, though I think its execution is slightly flawed in the sense that it's expecting slightly too much for an average player. I can see potentially some people like speedrunners to be able to do these no problem because, well, speedrunners, they tend to know the ins and outs of the game mechanics on a, like, code level for a lot of these games. So, and from seeing Breath of the Wild speedruns, I have no doubt that they would probably be able to beat these trials definitely faster than I would, and probably faster than some of you guys might. But then again, this is just my thoughts on the matter. It's not something that should be taken as fact, but could be taken into consideration. I kinda hope that there could be something done with this to make it a bit easier for some people. I know that the purpose of this is to test your skills in the game and overall giving you a challenge to overcome to in the end get rewarded with more power for your Master Sword, which will make it a more useful weapon to the point where when you beat the last trial, it's in its powered up state that it's in when you're facing off against anything under the influence of Ganon. Meaning that it has 60 power, which makes it the strongest melee weapon in the game, I believe. When it comes to, like, no special stats. Like, attack up and stuff. Maybe even with some attack up, and I don't fully know how the stats work, but I don't know. It seems a bit too punishing for little mistakes that it overall seems a bit cheap at times to me. I don't know. I kind of hope that Nintendo might be able to do something about this if they so choose, but I'm not getting my hopes up for that. So yeah, these are my thoughts on the matter. Feel free to let me know if you agree or disagree and why you are one way or another if you feel like it. Not really forcing you to do it or anything. But it might be nice to share, I suppose. Anyways, this has been Link to I Trust Your Spirit, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.